and welcome back to Thursday Night Live, Soaring Profits. All you profiteers out there, I'm so happy you're here to join us. We always have a wonderful person on, and this is no different. This time we have Mike. Mike grew up poor in the foothills of Kentucky. He was taught the importance of a good education and work ethic and always had a knack for bringing people together. Despite these admirable qualities, in 2010, he found himself in a tough spot, the same spot that many Americans have faced, bankruptcy. He immediately reached out to a financial advisor who quickly became a mentor and helped him turn his life around. He even encouraged him to leverage his own experience to become a financial coach and help others. That business rapidly grew, and Mike found himself at the center of another major epiphany. People were enthralled by his down-to-earth advice and enduring redneck persona. Every day he woke up to messages from strangers who had become fast friends, expressing gratitude for his guidance and inspiration. That's actually how he became known as the Redneck Financial Coach. Today, Mike serves as an unconventional advisor who helps establish entrepreneurs and grow their network through his network. His Redneck Coach title is the perfect description for his straight shooting strategies and down-to-earth advice. He's recognized for pioneering a lively and loyal online community called the Hounds of Business, and has created the Hound Pack principles that give his clients immediate access to instant community. He's a multi-certified financial advisor known for helping his clients fund their future and multiply their money. And of course, he's world famous for his camouflage cap and cool country proverbs that leave crowds calling for an encore. Now, Mike, I have seen your show multiple times now, and that description suits you well. You definitely have that down-to-earth country kind of, just everything you say just seems so real, and it's so honest, and I love it. And I love watching your show because there's always some interesting people on it, and the conversations you have are always informative and learning. I just think it's amazing. And I'm so glad you came on our show today. Thank you so much. Now, Mike, 2010, bankruptcy, worst nightmare of any man. So how do you go from that worst moment in your life when you're down on your knees to coming out, and now you're like a huge success? And not only are you a success, you're leading people to also have that success. How do you do that? How do you not just give up?
Yeah, great question. First of all, I love y'all's show, man. Y'all came out of nowhere, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe y'all were brand new, man. Y'all do a great job, and you have good people on, and so I appreciate that and the opportunity to be here. I know y'all had Jody Lamb and Michael Gale, some of the Hounds, and some of my friends, and so I appreciate the opportunity. So, man, if a long story short, if I ever had one, um, it was actually I'm a pink neck. That's something I don't talk about much. So pink neck, half city, half country. So I grew up poor. I've been inner city, I've been suburbs and rural, back and forth, all to and fro. And so I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm an overly educated pink neck. So I did everything I was supposed to do. Go to school. I have 2 college degrees, right? Computer programming, which would make Sia laugh because I don't even know. I can fix a dot matrix printer, but that's about it, right? 2003. And I had to cheat my way through, to be honest. I shouldn't have done that. So then I had to go business school. Um, so anytime you flunk out of computers, you go to business school. I guess if you flunk out of business school, it's communications and then it's homeless. I think that's the tier. I will ask CJ. But anyway, so what happened is I worked my tail off. I was at a Fortune 500 company, just grunt working, right? And I worked night shift, terrible job. My wife and I bought a home, our first little starter home. Drove 45 minutes one way so we can afford this house. And 27 years old. And what happened is the guy who built all the homes out there, he built them without foundations or do it the right way. So these 6-year-old homes were crumbling. They're in a drought. And man, I hired a company. We got a loan, fix it. They were a scam company. I mean, you're talking about just bad after bad. So that was everything I was supposed to do in this country to be successful. Get a good job, work hard, be successful, get a degree. And I hated my job, my ambition. I was going nuts, and I had to get rid of my house and file bankruptcy. That's not supposed to happen. So what did happen, and it's kind of the bio almost got it right. What happens, I didn't seek out an advisor. He sought me out through my cousin. And here's what happened. My cousin is a goofy Goofy. I love my cousin. He's goofy dude, man. He's goofier than me. So we're over here playing cards one day. And he pulled out this folder and he's like, man, I'm going to pay my house off in 8 years and we're going to retire at 62. And I'm like, I said, get the hell away from me, man. You must be drunk. Like, we were playing cards. And then the next day, that man named Rick called me. And I tell that story because it changed my life because I didn't want to talk to him. I wasn't close-minded, but I was close, right? And so here's why I met with the guy. First of all, my cousin, even though he's goofy, I had credibility with him, right? Number two, I never heard of a financial guy, a successful one, wanting to work with a broke guy filing bankruptcy. So I was curious, right? And number three, I said, well, what the hell is he going to do to me? I'm filing bankruptcy. So if he is scandally stupid, because I ain't got no money anyway, right? So all three of those things, I met with him. And here's what I learned. It wasn't that I was stupid or anything. It was just, you don't know what you don't know. The man talked, he sat down my wife and I, he gave us the education. He helped us put it together. He put a plan, a GPS, right? A to Z, and he helped us work the plan. That's the mystery, right? And today, think about that, man. Today, and you're in finance, right, Patrick? So today you can Google money. But how the hell are you going to weed through 8 million Google pages, right? That's today's professional helps you take that you need and make use of it. So that's how that whole story came about. And then he gave me an opportunity to work with him. Now this was back in 2010, right? Um, I sucked at it, man. I was really bad. I had a lot of growing up to do. So I just kind of floated around at that point, and I ended up being in a nonprofit, and finally left that big Fortune 500 dead end job. And, then I circled back around, ended up in finance again. This time I didn't suck at it, right? I ended up being good at it, which is another story that we can get into. It's even more fun, but that's the short version. I just, I was blessed. Somebody cared enough about me to say, hey, I'm going to help this broke guy just because I'm a good person. And really, guys, that's why I'm here and do what I do. First and foremost, yeah, I want to make money. Yes, I want to help people and build a business, but I want to do it by changing lives the same way that someone changed mine. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Mike.
Absolutely. You know what?
Ken,
Like
thank
when
you
I
for joining us
sorry.
tonight, and it's obviously you didn't get the email about the purple dress code that we have here every Thursday night. We won't hold that again. We won't hold that against you. But the email must have got lost in translation there somewhere. But I love
I'm wearing
stories
my
like
church
that.
clothes.
There you go. Yeah, church clothes. That's what we here at Soaring Profits are all about. We want to tell people stories. And, Mike, I've heard your name for a long time, really since we started doing podcasts. Some of our guests have come on here and talked up Mike and the Hounds in a big way. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And when you get the backstory about why you're here, what you're doing now, it makes it that much more impressive of what you're building. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what you're doing now with your group, Hounds of Business, and how that's came from obviously your backstory.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to get into that, but that was the fun story. So I ended up going to nonprofit sector, and this was back in about 2015. And everybody told me I wasn't going to leave that dead end job, right? You can't do it. You're alive. I've been there 17 years. I mean, I was a fireman and other things, but I was too scared to go out, but I hated it. Deep down, I was never meant to work a job, right? So I applied to a nonprofit in 2015. Oh, if I got a job today, I get fired today, man. It's just not good. Um, so it's either build it or go homeless. But I found 2015, I applied to a nonprofit and I got the job with no experience. And the funny part is that I know why I got that job because the board of directors looked at me and said, "Why should we hire you?" I said, "Well, now I know that you have an untapped market in this sector. You're either going to hire me and I'm going to take, get this money raised for your organization, or I'm going to go get hired somewhere else and I'm coming here first and taking it then." And they went, "Oh, we believe this crazy, guy, right?" And I was 14 out of 14 on that list, right? So I wasn't even supposed to be interviewed. Um, but hey, crazy things happen. So uh, I loved it to death, man. I grew up, like I said, poor and so I was helping people just like me, children and families. And I got fired because of nepotism back in 2018, right before my daughter was born. So my baby was born right before Christmas. I got fired. I had to tell my pregnant wife 4 days to do that I lost my job. It took me hours to go in that house and say it. But when I told her about it, she said, "Thank God that's over." That's how bad the experience was. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, no, it was bad. So then I found myself, unemployed with a baby in the NICU. And guess who entered the fray again? That man named Rick, the one that helped me back in the day. And he says, hey, you know what? He says, you know people, you know marketing, you know, you share my heart for people. He says, why don't you help my business grow? I said, well, it's not like I'm doing anything right now. I'm unemployed, right? Of course I'm interested. But I did. I had 6-figure jobs lined up. I was flying Michigan and different places for major food banks. But it just wasn't in the cards. So fast forward when COVID hit. Right. So here I am getting excited because if I'm doing it for him, I could do it for me. You know,
Right.
I can do this. And so COVID hit, and anybody around my age, around late 30s at the time or 40, we couldn't go out and play anymore. Right. So we did the next best thing, which was go on social media, pitch slap with a P, and spam people. And I had a peer of mine, a guy that worked in the same business. He was good at it. Oh, he could send direct messages and kill it all day long. Me, I just lost more hairline. That's all happened to me for 2 years. So here's how the whole Hounds got started, man. I met a guy, big crazy cage fighter named Mike O. And just like Wizard of Oz, he came out of nowhere. He was a big guy. He trained a lot of folks on LinkedIn. This was about a year and a half ago. And like he pulled the curtain back. And he started talking about all the things deep down I thought I wanted to do, just didn't know was possible, right? Attracting people and getting people to know you so they can like you and trust you and all these just organic things and how to do it specifically on LinkedIn. So I changed gears. And in last March, he said, your profile sucks and you're wearing a suit. Why? And I'm like, man, that's what guys in my industry do. You're in finance, right? You wear a suit, talk weird, and that's what we do. He says, is it working for you? Oh, hell no, he's not doing it. He says, well, why don't you let yourself out? You said you're a working class, pink neck, you know, kind of guy. He says, just let it rock. Let it. I said, well, it won't work. He says, well, it ain't working now. He said, what do you got to lose? Nothing. So there it was, man. I threw the hat on. I got to find this. I got to make you a museum or something. So I had 2 guys, 2 rednecks with straw hats and overalls just talking. And in pink, it said redneck financial coach. That was all the branding I had at the time. That's all I needed because at that point, dude, people who wasted my time or thought they were better than me and all that stuff, they ignored me. And then I had people like HR directors talking about I had a 79 Chevy. I'm a redneck too. You know, nobody knows. It was so much fun, right?
Yeah.
And so I met people and I figured, guys, if I can grow with my restrictions in finance, if I can grow with this face and hat, imagine what can happen if I can show other people, right, who don't have my restrictions, who don't have my stigma or face and hat. I said, you know what? Instead of talking about money, guess what? I talked to him about growing on LinkedIn. I became a dating coach, right? Informal. I became a business coach. I mean, anything I could do for these people. And last remark, here's what I told them all. And this is how the Hounds exploded. I had no idea this was going to happen. I said, listen, I'm trying to catch Joe Rogan and Oprah before they're Joe Rogan and Oprah. Everybody in my industry, Patrick, they're all going after the big fish because they pay. But see, I was meeting people that made $2,000 a month starting off. But I knew, man, I knew they were going to make a killing, man. I knew, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I told him, I said, listen, if I can help you make money and push you along and we can become really close, right? Like real relationship and we can do this. Guess what? Who's going to come after you when you make good money? Because you're going to make 12 grand. You know, they're like, oh no. I said, yes, you will. And they said, well, everybody's going to come after me. Yeah. And you're going to tell them, no, thank you, because the redneck was here when I was broke. And they said, okay. And I said, hey, I'm holding you to it. So, guys, that's what I did. I started sticking them in a little group so I can keep up with them. And guess what? Things happen in their life. The market changed, et cetera, et cetera. They were kicking my butt. I mean, look at Raquel, man. I mean, here you go. Casey, I'm like the fat gymnastics coach, dude. Like, I ain't flipping, but she sure as hell won a gold medal. So that just snowballed. And all I did was love on people. And wow. And guess what? Good people reciprocate. And that's what happened. So there was a point where I was not as useful to them, but they didn't forget it. And now you see it all day long where that's where people say, because I gave them value first. I believed and pushed them up first. And now I need them way more than they needed my ass. And look what's happening. So I'm the most blessed guy on earth.
So I got our big question here.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to ask you about your TP obsession. Now, are we talking like toilet paper? Is that what we're talking about here?
I'm toilet paper because this is a family show.
We are talking about toilet paper. And this is not a paper towel roll. This is Michael Gale, 8-ply toilet. You know he's a big tough guy. So yeah, he told me not to waste it though. He's not sending me many of. So yes, ma'am. Thank you, Constance Leland. Even though you're hiding behind your business, I know what you. I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's some
Good
crazy
time.
toilet paper. Holy cow, that's interesting. So yeah, no,
Man's man.
I like how you're saying that. You know, it's you're helping other people. They turn around, they help you out. Way back when I was going through a rough time, and I had no idea. I had no money, and Pat Kane took me under his wing. He told me exactly what to do. He told me what to buy in the market. He told me how to finance my house. He told me how to get renters. And without him, I wouldn't be able to travel. I wouldn't be able to do any of the things I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember that. So whenever he needs something, I'm there for him. And that's really important. Not everyone's like that. I've learned that myself. You know, you go out of your way for someone and they turn around and they're like, James, who are you? But you remember that, right? And you take that as a lesson. And you enjoy the fact that you've built a group of people that can rise you up, as Sia always says, all ships rise with the tide, who is another wonderful person. So Mike, so on your show, you have a lot of people, but that's not all you do, right? On the Hounds of Business, you have that show Wednesday afternoon, something like that.
Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Shameless
7
plug.
p.m.
Yes,
Yeah. That's but behind the scenes, you're working, helping other people. How do you help other people build their brand?
Yeah, I help people. Honestly, I help with visibility, and visibility, and what I teach is really kindergarten skills, James. It's we hear all this stuff and algorithm and big words and a bunch of marketing guru stuff and all this. And look, again, I'm not knocking it. If that stuff works for you and you're happy, be happy. But it looks like I'm not alone. A lot of people it doesn't work. A lot of these things we hear about this doesn't work. And so I just happened to just figure things out. I was taught by Mike O, right? And then when he left LinkedIn, I just incorporated the things that I learned throughout my life, right? So the short answer is um it's more soft skill. It's more like I teach LinkedIn and how to navigate LinkedIn. Um, but really a lot of it is the soft skill. I mean, just think back to February. We were talking, right? The algorithm really changed. There were a lot of changes and the impressions slowed down. And so everybody freaked out. Well, think about it. If we all slow down, we're all in the same boat, right? So my philosophy at the time, and it proved to be true, was to, hey, how about instead of worrying about how to beat the algorithm and everything, because we're probably not going to, right? Um, how about we become the answer to other people's algorithm and impression problems, right? So we had a group of people that can just go and love on people, and that's what we did. Because there were folks out there having webinars, and those people were used to having 300 people sign up because they were just popular. Now they had like 47 likes. Yeah, whoops. So when we came along and said, hey, I'm going to tag some attorneys or other people, we were valuable at that point. See,
Right.
and so when everybody else cringes, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Shit, that's when the opportunity arises, right?
Absolutely.
So when everything goes to hell, innovation is where it's at. And I'm country. I'm a fireman. I mean, we help people in medical with sticks and stuff, right? Like we're pretty simple people, right? Um, so that was really the crux of it. It was just teaching people to reconnect with folks, the mindset. That's a person on the other end of that screen. We forget that. It's just typing and chatting and all this crap. But that's a person that woke up that day hoping that somebody would find value or be seen. And then they worked all day long, they get home, pull their phone out, and they got one like. That sucks. And you can be the solution to that. That's how I did it.
Yeah.
Well, they only have 2,000. Who cares? Is this a good person? And I don't even know. Raquel says go show up. I show up, right? Because I trust her judgment, and we're a team. And the same vice versa, right? So that's what I focus on. I mean, yeah, there's some strategy and there's a lot of things to it, but I just did it in a way that made you feel good. I work with people who are busy, professional, and usually either coming to the next level or already there. You don't have time to spend hours playing and trying to figure stuff out, or putting cat memes up, or you want results, you want sales, you want process, but you don't have to sacrifice friendships and relationship. And matter of fact, the two are better. I mean, I love waking up and seeing my schedule, and I could be tired and don't want to meet today, but then I see the people I'm working with. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm excited, right? I mean, otherwise, just work a damn job. That's what work a job is what for working with people you don't like. So hopefully I answered that question, but that's where it's more of a redneck Camelot mindset. We're just kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired. There's so many people that are just full of crap and or transactional, and that's fine if that's you. But we like to really hang out, man. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Like, so I grew up with a dad who was a salesman, and but way before internet even existed. But he was all about relationships. If someone came into his, like, he sold used goods or he bought used goods, he never talked about price. He never talked about an item. He would always go in and go, "Hey, how are you doing today? What's going on? I noticed you have a red truck. It says on the side of it you like horses. What's up with the horses? What's going on with that?" And he would have a half an hour conversation with them, become good friends with them, and they'd be like, "So what's up with the propane tanks here? What can you do for me?" And he always got the best price because he made that relationship. He always it was always a friend he was talking to, even though he just met him. We'd be on like a road trip somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and he'd become friends with this person like they were soulmates. And it's important. Those people that you get involved with are important. Like in my job, I work in with children who suffer from autism. It's a village. We work together to help that person because we all bring something to the table. We all notice something different. We can't just have one idea. If you have multiple people, there's multiple ideas, and if you're all working together, you share those ideas, and it helps you grow stronger and better and more wonderful. Mike, I think what you're doing is wonderful. So now on your show, Wednesday night show, I noticed Sia is a big part of that. How does that all work out?
All right. Hey, you get to hear that more. Y'all are good, man. I don't get to tell all my good stories at this on one show. This is great.
This is the Mike show.
Oh man, hey, I appreciate it. She'll be blushing. I don't know if she's hanging out with Johnny Cash or something right now, drinking it up. She's had a hard week. I'll let her, but she can watch it on repeat. I got bullied, man. It was actually last March. I got bullied on a live stream. They took my lunch money. It was embarrassing, man. Because that wouldn't happen face to face, dude. I mean, honestly, don't run from me.
No, that doesn't happen.
So
yeah,
yeah, but this was my first real experience. I mean, showing up to a virtual, so someone across the country can say whatever. I mean, we're telephone tough guys, even worse now.
100%.
So this whole thing went south, and it was actually kind of there. She is. She's so wonderful. She loves this story. She act like she don't, but so I got beat up, man. It was actually really funny because I kept telling the guy, "Hey, that was rude," and he's like, "I'm sorry," but then he would say other crazy shit. Like he kept saying, "I'm like, hey, finally, I was like, keep my name out your mouth, like stop talking." Right? Yeah. Oh God. So I was gonna be done, guys. Seriously, I just like, who needs this? Whatever. Homelessness doesn't look so bad. Whatever. I'll figure something out. And I went to see her. That's who, because she was from the beginning, and God knows why. I don't know why. I'm just glad that she was stuck in there. But I went to her, and that's her thing, right? Podcast and anything digital media is her. She runs shows. She knows everything about it. So I would say she took me under her wing, but the God's honest truth is I crawled under her wing, and she just closed it out of pity. I think that's what happened, right? So she did. She put me on her show. I felt good. I looked good. She knows how to do that. And then I went to Supermom and Misty Lee. I can't hear. Oh, that good. You'll hear it later. See ya. All right. So I felt good. I went on Supermom show, and I loved that. And and then what happened is that people in the Hounds, I didn't realize. I felt like a poor kid in the North Pole. I didn't realize the impact I was making on people.
mm-hmm.
And I just had no clue. But I kept hearing people say, "Hey, you should do more of this. You should have a show." And I'm like, why would I have a show? But here's why I have a show. I met so many people that just made me insanely mad, dude. I met the rudest people you can imagine, back to back to back. God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, was sending me a message like, maybe you should do something, because it was bad. I'll tell you this stuff later, but maybe a part two. Yeah, these are good stories. But it enraged me, and I said, you know what? Is this what people have to choose from? Like, I'm not the only one. Oh, whatever. So Sia said, hey, I'll work. I hired Sia. She put my show together. And the funny thing was, is I turned the camera on one day just to test it out, and I had 30 people. 30, and I seen Spider-Man got 22. How the hell did I get 30? And I'm not even got the camera on, right? So we turned the camera on, and then 5 minutes later, people were still there. So a couple guys said, hey, do you need help? Gabe Lil, right? The king of LinkedIn Live was there. Robert Berry, Bob Feathers, And here's what happened. We were just being guys, midnight chatting. Uganda was in the house. I'm playing with the buttons for the first time. And this little fancy lady, I wish the hell I knew who it was. I put it up on the screen and she said, this is oddly intriguing. I can't stop watching. Hell yeah, it's me to a T. Absolutely. So boom, we're going to do the live stream. Now, the live stream was successful. It was back, I think, in August. And I was the gag gift. I was the extra large pair of underwear you buy your grandma for a birthday gag gift. What I didn't understand, because I knew people would show up just to see what this was. What I didn't bank on was them to stay and buy that big pair of underwear and pass it around and tell everybody. Like, that was not expected.
Yeah.
So that's the origin story that I probably haven't told in 10 months of how the Hounds existed. And, I put myself out there. I mean, I've quit saying I can't do or I'm not good enough. And I said, you know what? I don't have the confidence. I have courage, though. I got plenty of that shit. I don't have confidence, but I'll get the confidence if I decide to keep being courageous, right? And that's the tent pole of the Hounds. People were told they're not good enough. They're not smart enough. They're the wrong gender, wrong whatever. And I'm just sick of it. And this is a place where people are vetted, that you can be pushed up. You don't have to be anything. You don't, pretend like you're someone you're not. All right. You just have to have a desire to be more and do more. That's pretty much it. So appreciate you letting me tell that long ass story, because that's the hard story. I'd never tell it.
That's amazing.
Well,
that's where we're at. Go ahead, Pat.
Again, coming from us, our start story is very similar. And this guy beside me here, the one that got the purple email, he started for years and years and years wanting to do a podcast, trying to figure out how he could talk me into doing this. And I had no want at all to do a podcast. And then I was dealing with a sick parent. My father ended up passing away. And about 3 months later, this guy's like, okay, it's time. We've got, we'd go and we'd have these great conversations with interesting people around the community. Him and I would be out and around because we're just buddies, right? We go out and we'd have these interactions with people. We'd end up with a table of people at the bar, the restaurant, the wherever, shooting the shit with us. And then all of a sudden we'd be looking around. They're like, there's 25 people here, like out of nowhere. So we started doing that. And it's exactly like you say it, Mike, is that when you build it, people start slowly creeping in. They start looking around and they go, oh, not bad. And now we're interviewing individuals that are politicians, individuals that are psychologists, doctors, guys like yourself that are jumping into the social media trends and really kicking the shit out of it, really doing a great job. And for us, we just get to tell your story. That's the energy that we pull out of this, is Mike's story, all of these other people that we love, their stories. How can we go wrong in doing that? This is fantastic. We love doing this on our Thursday nights, right?
Yeah. Hey, don't be surprised when it don't blow up. It will stack. And that's where I'm at now. Like, it was just a bunch of people just having a good time helping each other. But wow. I mean, when you put a bunch of sharp leaders and the climate, the culture, like, I don't police the whole Hounds, and I don't do like all that. You're grown up. And it really is remarkable to have lots and lots of leaders, strong-willed, determined, busy people get along like we do, right? But that's the key. It's attraction based. There is no gain here. You can come, you can go, you can come back later. It's like a buffet. I don't care, and I love that, because you guys do the same thing. This is what I tell people. And I mean this, man. And again, I encourage people to lean into this. I tell people all day long, because I believe it. I said, look, I don't care. I don't give a shit if you say yes or no to me. I don't. I honestly don't. Here's what I care about, though, fundamentally, that what you're saying yes and no to, right? If you're going to make a decision that could change your dadgum life, do you want to base that on a little bit of misinformation, or do you want to make sure you have all the facts in front of you? That's it. And you're a finance guy. I mean, that's what if you're doing it right, that's what you do. You say, hey, this is what, now you have a decision. You can make a smart or a stupid decision at this point. And that's what I talk to people about. And the Hounds really shares that. We're not trying to give, again, bald people haircuts. We're trying to find people who have last minute interviews and a big mullet, and they go, oh shit, thank God I saw your hair salon. That's, what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think that's what people like about us. They're like, oh, you all just hang out and sing kumbaya. Yeah, as we make a lot of money and do a lot of things. And, because how else are we supposed to help charity and help each other if we don't have
Yeah.
money and time to do it? So I
Mhm.
think it's just the kind of mindset that we share that, you don't have to hide your issues, your family issues, those kind of things. And not everybody's like that, man. I had somebody come in, one of my top clients when I started teaching networking and LinkedIn and stuff. And they were like, "Hey, I'm out." I was like, "Wow." I was like, "You don't want to no, we don't want all that love stuff." Okay. I mean, good because not everybody does. I wouldn't want to hang out where you hang out either because y'all y'all a lot of transactional stuff and I'm not comfortable. So I think it's just an alternative, right? I just want people to go out there, explore, jump on the shows like this, talk to people like us. Stop telling yourself you can't do it. Okay? If I'm doing it, who the hell can't do it? Right? I mean, that's hopefully my message.
Yeah. So, Mike,
Yeah.
again, I agree 100%. And I love what you guys have built. And you talk about that transactional piece. And you know what? In so many aspects, there's watching all the hounds over the last little while and even just perusing LinkedIn. There's such a gapping in regards to you don't always know what they do, right? And I think that's great because they're teaching about certain things, but they're talking in a way that is just some folks having a conversation, talking about generalities. And then at the end, they're like, "Oh, hey, remember that I do X, Y, and Z. If you ever need that, give me a call." And to me, that's
Right.
that's content. I don't want the sales pitch every time I look at your
No.
profile. I don't want the hard, you got to get in touch with me. If you're not calling me, here's the 1-800 number. I don't want to have anything to do with you. And like what you're saying, that transactional piece, I think, is so important. I love that aspect and that community sense that you guys have built. And I think it's one of those things that once we figure out this LinkedIn algorithm a little better and we can jump on that, I think the sky's the limits for what you guys can do. I think it's fantastic.
No, I agree. I think you're building a lifetime of friendships that just make money. If on the stuff that I do, I talk about it's the people around you. If you're hanging around low lives that you can't trust, that won't stand beside you in a fight, that sleep till noon every day, smoke pot, get drunk, party all the time, that's where you're headed. You're going to do the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
But if you have great guys like Mike, Pat here, and Mike, who are doing things, they're getting up every day and working hard, you're just inspired. You can't help but be inspired when you surround your people, with people like that. You're just motivated and you want to go because you want a piece of that action. Because I'll be damned if Pat moves away from and does better than me. Forget it. I want to be able to have my people say to him, "I'm sorry, James is busy right now." That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, and again,
I look forward to it. Yeah.
it's not been, anytime you have growing pains, right? And so me and Sia and Raquel and many people in there, and you're going to have issues. But we work through and we come out higher from that. Like I can't imagine a lot of people that come to my mind who, I mean, they're nice people and they're good to their clients, but they're not going to change your damn car tire at 2 a.m. Nothing like that. They're not changing anybody's tire, and I'm not going to change everybody's tire. So don't call me with that. If your tire breaks tonight, but there are layers like an onion, and I think that's where the distinguishment. That there are people that we go to bat. So what was impressive to me is that, I had a hard time recently and I was really just having, self-doubt and things going on. And I'm like, man, dude. But I forgot that I wasn't alone. Right. And I don't know how I couldn't even put up with me, but yet the people around me put up with me, Raquel and Sia and them, and it's not really a mystery because I go to bat for them too. Right. Like we just look past that stuff. We know we're good people deep down. And that's kind of where you see this big old nose. You see that? I'm a bloodhound for bull stuff, and I can sniff out a winner. And I don't know how I do it. It's really intuitive. But I've met a lot of people. In matter of fact, Raquel and Michael Gale. I wasn't too sure when I met them, right? I haven't honed my spidey sense, but I knew deep down somehow they were really good people. So I put them in a little group and hung out with them and kind of let it naturally progress. And now they're two of my best friends, man. They really are. They're sharp people. Michael Gale is the first one that brought me here to you guys, right? See, got your toilet paper, Michael Gale. We've already, A-ply, baby. So it's not rocket science. Again, I just got
Yeah.
so tired, man. I met a guy that just big time me one day, and I couldn't stand it. It was a straw that broke the redneck camel's back. And this guy, man, he was just he turned the camera on, act like he was somebody country. Uh, he crapped on me, crapped on my business, and finally I just had to strike back. I was like, okay, Hoss, I pulled my big old stack of referrals down on the table, and I had to get out of there. So I started researching this guy, right? I'm already 50 times bigger than this guy. So I was like, this was last year.
Right.
And I was
Yeah.
like, who acts like that? What is your problem? And,
Yeah.
and that's it. I was like, man, I want to do this
Yeah.
because there's too much of that. I just don't like that. And so here's what I wasn't ready for. Our little ragtag group of new entrepreneurs, we started attracting people who were ahead of us, so to speak, right? Who have been in business for a while.
Right.
And I turned around, I started talking to people. I didn't know they were Mr. and Mrs. Monopoly I was talking to, man. It was real weird. Like I wouldn't have said the crazy shit I said. And thank God I didn't know. No, because they never had somebody like me talking to them like that, really, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the curiosity and intrigue and playfulness, uh, we're people, we're business people, we're professional, but we're people. We like to have fun. We like to just not have to look over our damn shoulder every time we turn around. And I
Yeah.
think that's where people in the Hounds and you guys, and that's why there's so many little boats rising like this, because people are just tired of the bull stuff, man. It's just getting old, right?
That's absolutely one us, like we talk a lot about our dinner table. Like when we were kids, our dad would be at the head of the dinner table, our mom would be there, and we'd be talking politics. And once you get to, once you're like 14, 15 and you know everything and your dad doesn't, you start arguing about politics and religion and all sorts of things. And you start yelling at each other. But at the end, you love each other and you walk away from the table and it's like nothing happened. People don't do that anymore. It's almost impossible to have a real conversation. Every once in a while, Pat and I will go to like a watering hole, and we'll run into someone and we start talking to them about maybe the Catholic Church or anything, whatever. And then they start, shutting us down with those, well, you're a white male, you don't understand. You're this, right. You don't understand. It's like, no, like everyone has an opinion. Everyone, I don't know how we got away from you can't have an opinion at the table. I get that some people have a better opinion. I agree with that. If you've lived that life, then your opinion is more valid than mine, but I still get to have an opinion. That's the way the world works.
Right.
And I don't know why we got away from that. So that's kind of what this show is about a little bit too. It's about exploring people's stories, learning what motivates people, finance, and also being able to just talk about whatever we want. Speaking of that, Mike, so what does Mike do when he's not like killing at business and the Hounds? And what do you do for fun, man?
Oh man, what fun! The hell is that?
It's got to be fun.
All right, so I was asked this question last night on my show, and I'm gonna take a picture. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you, but don't tell nobody. All right, keep this a secret.
I won't tell no one. Yeah. I'll tell a couple of people.
Honestly, I work in my office shed. I don't go to my Louisville office hardly ever. I work in my office shed and I play on the swing set with my daughters and play fetch. That's basically what I do, and maybe take a walk every now and then.
Right.
Which is funny because we have dogs that are kind of vicious, but I think the word got out that I got rabies, so I don't get attacked. So I've been walking more. Yeah. So I just look at it. Even German Shepherds like that guy, right?
Just foam at the mouth a little bit, keeps everyone.
Yeah, like Alka-Seltzer tablet. Yeah, you can do it. So yeah, I don't, man. I like to fish and I like to hike and things, but I've got we're busy people and we got things going on, so I do kid stuff, man. I play with dolls. I play with the kittens that we shouldn't have got that we did 2-3 weeks ago, because Daddy's a sucker, right? I'm Mr. Dad, man. I'm pretty much Danny Tanner from Full House, So I don't do a lot of things outside. I love being home and tooling around. I mean, I fought fires. I jumped off cliffs. Yeah, my bucket list is pretty good. Now I just want to stay safe. I don't like to get on the roof or nothing anymore. I just like to hang out and make people smile and try to make an impact in people's lives, man, as much as possible.
It's pretty funny when that little hand grabs your finger, and instantly that anyone who hurts that little child is dead. Like you'll kill for them. I will do 25, no problem for either of my children. Any second, any day. And it's it seems rarer and rarer for fathers to step up and be there. And Pat's another father that's there for his daughter all the time. And I just think that's wonderful, Mike. I think it's great that you're there for him, because that's how they stay safe, man. Like it's a scary world out there, and if they have a dad involved, standing over their shoulder and making sure and hearing their stories every day, you keep that child safe. And that's the number one way to keep your child safe, is so when they come home, there's someone to tell stories to. I think that's beautiful, man. That's wonderful.
Yeah, look, I'm with Judge Judy. I mean, why would I have kids if I didn't want to like hang out with them and take care of them and stuff? Like, like that. Hey, and then if I did, too late now, right? Like, because I did. There was a one point, I don't know what I was thinking. I wanted to go FBI, be field agent. But look, fireman was enough, right? And that didn't last too long. That's a hard job to be doing when you have a family, and
Absolutely.
So I mean, out here in the South, where all these guys want to go hunting and fishing on the weekend.
Yeah.
You got a family. Where do you leave them at home? Yeah, they live. I'm blown away. I said, I don't know. Even if I could get away with leaving my family at home, I wouldn't do it. That's probably why I don't worry about, anybody being foul when I'm not home, because A, I'm always home.
Right.
But B, it's not worth it, man. Really, if I went, I'd love to go fishing, but my kids make it awful. Oh, they threw the pole in the lake, the tackle box. It was awful. So like, hey, Daddy, you want to go fishing? Not with y'all. Absolutely no. But I will sit there and finger paint a macaroni picture if you want to do that shit. I'll do that, right? So,
Mike, how old are your kids?
11 and 4.
11 and 4. That's a spread.
Yeah.
It's her fault. You see, okay.
It's her fault.
It's her fault.
Not a very fast runner, I see.
Yeah, exactly. So, I said 1, she said 2, and I said, okay, either we have 2 max. Well, but
they always win.
She said, I said, look, we'll have 2 kids, 2 to love or 20 to work a farm. There's not going to be 3, 4, 5. Either it's going to be 2 or 20. We're going to have a football team. Yeah. So the problem is that she wanted to have a kid, but you know how it is when you got a baby and you're carrying that car seat around. You got that big Popeye arm, and you had to wipe them all the time. And so we just got over that. And now she wants to do it again. I said, "Oh my God, I thought I was the crazy one. That's insane."
Yeah.
But yeah, here's the saving grace. The oldest child acts like me. So that's another reason I'm like, we're gonna have 3 dads in the house. This child acts like mom, so we have gotten scot-free. We've been blessed. This child takes care of itself. It's the responsible person of the household. I mean, honestly. And then because of COVID, I think she's 70. Yeah, well, because of COVID, she grew up in the house with old people and grandma and us. So she thinks she's 72. So instead of taking her to preschool, I think I'm going to take her to the nursing home so she feels more at home to get her social skills. So that's the family story.
That's amazing.
Well, and that's like you say, Mike. So, like for myself, a little backstory of me. I'm a single parent. My daughter actually graduates grade 8 next week, so I got a high schooler on my hands. And I look around my buddies who started a little later than me, and they're looking at changing diapers still. And again, being a single dad, you start having these conversations with people like, "Would you want to have more kids? Would you?" And it's like, I don't want to do that again. I've done that. I've had a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. My daughter is she's my business partner. She's my travel companion. She's amazing. I love her to death. Hell of an athlete, all these sorts of things. I'm super proud of her, but I don't want 2.0. I'm done. Whoever has got to be way faster than me. That's like a prerogative for like dating. Because, hey, if I catch you, apparently that's trouble.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll tell you backstage. Maybe I can't say this is on LinkedIn. I can't believe I ain't got kicked off LinkedIn. So you seen Full House, the original Full House with Danny Tanner? Have you seen Bob Saget? I mean, obviously he passed away, but I remember that. I saw Full House and Bob Saget on Full House. And then one day I accidentally saw him on his late night comedy.
Yeah. Very different.
Blown away. That's me. So I gotta be. I can't believe I get kicked out because one day all of that's gonna come out at the wrong time, during the Full House episode. So don't encourage me. That's what my point.
Yeah.
I was super shocked the first time I heard Bob Saget and thought he was like Red Fox. I'm like, I couldn't believe how much he swore, and he definitely was not the the dad on the TV show at all. No. And then
No.
he got caught doing a few things, I believe. No, you know what? I couldn't wait to be a dad. I was one of those people that I was 4 years old pretending I was a dad. I just couldn't wait.
Right.
So when I finally did become a parent, it was the most joyous part of my life. And now I'm at the other side, little empty nest. You know, it was a hard time for me when they left, and now they're doing their own thing. They don't really need me. They still call me, you know, most days and ask me advice, but it's a different kind of advice because they're adults. So it's not like you don't know what they're thinking all the time anymore. Pat's right there now. Pat's at that moment. It's starting to turn over for him. And, you know, they're there for advice, but they don't want advice. And it's an interesting dynamic because you start giving them advice and then they're like, that's stupid or whatever. And then they take your advice afterwards. They just don't want it. That's kind of where it is right now for them. I just love that you spend more time with your kids. I spent hours doing crafts and all sorts of things with them. I loved it. Yeah. I pretended I didn't. I do that gruff dad thing where, you want to do macaroni. Oh, God, that sucks.
Right.
You want to play Barbies? No, I don't want to play Barbies. Fine. Give me my Barbie. Who am I?
Right. Oh, I know. But it really is true. And that's the advice that everybody tells you, you know, and they're like, well, you know, you take advantage of it now. They're not kidding. I mean, they really are, man. I mean, like my big girl said, hold me. She's tall as me almost, man. I'm like, what do you mean hold you? We're about the same weight now. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's grown. And and somebody had told me that. They said, you know, you're not gonna be able to hold them forever. You're gonna miss that. So now my little 4-year-old, I just hold her like, man, like I put her in a backpack, just carry around everywhere now, because it's just they grow up quick, and I don't want to miss that. I mean, you know, yeah, we have to pay the bills. Yes, we have to work. Yes, we have to be adulting, right, as Jody Lamb says. But you know, is that it? Really, I could die tomorrow. It really is. I don't want to think about it, but it could. And what the hell did I do? You know, did I spend time? Was it, you know, did I take the time to share something with them? Uh, you know, meaningful. You know, and that's why my little girl is homeschooled. I mean, she has some issues. It was hard for her at school, and the teachers were ill equipped and almost mean to her. And you know what? I said, look, I work at home. I'm building a business. Work at homeschool, right? And that's crazy because everybody else, you hear everybody else talk about, like, you know, I grew up where they can't, you know, they don't see mom because mom's working all the time and all that. And it's something else for us to have that life. I never grew up with those options, you know? So the whole point of that is that's why I do what I do, because I don't want people having those tapes and just one day you wake up at 75 years old and now what? Like, hey, make a decision now, dude. Like, hey, I'm gonna change my life. Little baby steps, but change your life. Don't go daggum fishing when your family's at home. Ding ding, right? Like this, that's a huge thing. Spend time with them. Sell the damn boat. You can put the money away. Yeah, right, Patrick? Invest the damn boat money and spend time with your kids. A win-win, brother.
100%, Mike. And you know what? It's one of those things. So again, my daughter's 13. I buy a boat here a year ago. And first thing we do is we sit down and it's daddy-daughter boat license time. I don't know what it's like down there, but in Canada, you have to have a boat license. And you can't really drive the boat until you're 14. However, you're driving the boat, right? And instead of making that about me and I'm going to go out and do something, I'm going to go with the boys. I'm going to get James, I'm going to get a couple guys. We're going to go drink beers in the boat. It becomes something more. We got my daughter is included in everything I do. When I'm dealing with tenants, when I'm dealing with, painting, we're going and cleaning out apartment buildings that I have. Like, this is the whole thing, is that if you create it as a family dynamic, they buy in. They buy in. They realize that when they want to go get those, you know, the clothes, the shoes, the cars, the trips, that sort of thing, that comes with a price. That price is, let's go have a lot of fun and get this job done, this task done, and we'll move on from there. And if you engage them at a young age, it's a Tuesday. If you wait till they're 18, 19, 20, and you think they're going to take over the family hardware store, good luck. They have no interest. They've become their own person. You have to be there. Spend that time, have the phone calls, take them to the mortgage negotiations, take them to the real estate stuff. They like it. 100%.
And teach them a work ethic, which is the most important. That's the thing that's majorly lacking right now. You got to teach them a work ethic. You got to teach them that, you know, we can have all kinds of fun. we can go boating, we can go take a big trip, but that all costs money. So we got to get this work done first. And once the work done, and Pat's really good at that. Like, so she actually hangs out with us a lot. We'll go for dinners. Actually, we have another friend, and his daughter comes too, and we have like intellectual conversations. And she is always right there talking and really adding to the conversation like an adult, because she understands finance. She understands like housing. She understands all of these things on a high level because
we lost him. Yeah. Sorry, pal, you cut out there, buddy.
I was just saying because she's hanging around a guru. So I just think it's amazing. I think you're absolutely right. I didn't have children to ignore them. I didn't have children because, you know, they're a cat and I want to leave them in a corner. I had children because I wanted to raise them. Yeah. So I just think that's beautiful. So hello. You said homeschooling. Now
I'm cutting in and out, I think, guys. Mike, are you still there with us, pal?
Yeah, we're good. You're cutting in and out. Yeah, it's your feed.
Just me.
Shocker.
Just
Get
me.
the girl up on the roof and fix the satellite. So
go move the antenna.
Get the tinfoil out. So you lost me. I was all like, I had a great question. You're talking about homeschooling. Yeah. So I have a friend, and she homeschooled both her kids up until high school, and now they're heading to high school. And what she did, and I thought it was interesting because I've heard a lot about homeschooling, and my fear always was the socialization, because you're kind of restricted. You don't have other kids around. So what they did is they had a whole community of homeschoolers. They had like 10, 20 people. They put on plays together. They did sporting events together. They did everything together. So how are you adding to that social piece for your girls?
Yeah, great question. It's the same way. There's groups everywhere across the U.S. because it used to be the cop out. I don't want to homeschool my child because they'll miss socialization. The question is, what kind of socialization? Because honestly, I think back to my childhood, and I wish the hell I had no socialization versus what I did get. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. So I was like, hey, I think it's a great thing. Technology, people's conscious about it. So yeah, there's groups that we plug into. We had her 5th grade graduation. We had it at the park. I mean, it was weird because I'm used to seeing hundreds of kids, and now you're seeing from high school, from kindergarten, you're like 15 kids. It's weird, and you're outside, but they're happy, and they're happy. They don't care about the nonsense that other kids care about as a whole. They're happy. They don't see anything weird about it. They're probably learned a lot more. Like I could teach my kids business, and you spend time. I mean, everybody else got to work, and I can teach them these things myself. Like I can decide because I'm the dadgum principal and teacher, right? I can say, hey, to hell with that one question. We're going to talk about this, and we have the leeway. Yeah, we do the math and the science and all that, but I can stop and say, we're going to watch this. We're going to learn about how to edit videos, right? Wow. Like, because she loves social media. She's too young to do most of it, but I didn't want to stop her because think about it. She could edit my videos, and I don't have to, I just feed her dinner. Don't tell the labor law, right? But yeah, I thought about that. I said, I don't want to tell her no. I just want to teach her how to be responsible, like nurture the nature kind of thing. And same thing with my little 4-year-old. She runs around like a handy woman all day long. Like I sat there, no kidding, a couple months ago, right? Just turned 4. She made me hold the door, the inside closet door, for 15 minutes because she had to turn the screwdriver in the hinge. Adorable. And I'm like, oh, dude, I was like, let me do it. No, Daddy, I got this. Like, sweet Jesus. And she did. 4 years old, like MacGyver. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, those kind of things is what is more special. Forget the whole traditional. And by the way, I'm not going to get beat up by Constance, but don't even get me started on the education system. And my daughters, they do not seem like they're going to trudge the traditional path anyway. They're going to be trade or opening up an ice cream shop at 16 or something. So here's my thing. Be intentional. Live life on your terms. Don't let nobody tell you you're not good enough for that stuff. If you want to stay at home and be a house, keeper, man or woman, do the shit because that's what you really want to do, right? Be who you want to be. Do what you want to do. That's my whole regret. The only regret, people say I don't regret anything. I sure as hell do. I regret one thing, not determining who I am a long time ago. Better
Yeah.
late than never, though, right? And that's what I want to take away with people. I want them to take that away, and you guys get it. That's why I like y'all. Now I know why I like y'all. I didn't know why at first, but y'all live life, man, and it changes you if you do it right.
Yeah.
It really does, and
Well,
you
100%,
impact
Mike.
others with that.
And that's where, you're talking about your kids, trudging that, maybe lessly traveled path. And for years and years and years, I hounded into my daughter about university, going to school, going to school, going to school. And it's probably in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, especially coming out of COVID. And her and I have more conversations now about your education. Your university is paid for if you need it. But if you want to go out and you want to start a business, I got you too. So that money that's there is set away for whatever you need to do, whatever you want to do. But you're not doing it sitting in bed Saturday morning. Your friends are all going to the mall. It's okay to go to the mall, but don't sit there and become a mall rat and focus your life on that crap. Focus, get your attention on what you need to be doing. Like I say, is that my daughter's a pretty good athlete. She's very driven, very focused that way. But it's changing that parameter. And it was a big thing for me, my mind's eye of going like, I want my kid to go to the top school. I want her to get, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, whatever you want to be, but you got to get the certificate. Somebody's got to validate you. And it's probably these last number of years that I've looked around the world and I go, I know a lot of lawyers that aren't paying the bills. I know a lot of guys that have got the degree sitting on the wall and they're waiting for someone to tap them on the shoulder and get them that 6 figure. And, 6 plus, you got to be making it. What are you waiting on? Go make it yourself. Go figure out a side hustle. And we talk about stuff. I talk about her all the time is that I'll buy the lawnmowers. You get the girls and the guys and that's your first business. Start a lawn care business here locally. Get out there, door hangers. We're talking about different business ideas at 10, 11, 12, 13, so that now when she's 15, 16 years old, she's a gymnastics coach at 13 years old, has been working for 2 years now. This will be her second summer. And, she's got more money than most adults I know. And that's the job. I want you to realize you don't want that, but you got to go through it so that you go when your boss walks in and goes, you didn't do that.
Right. Yeah. See, dude, and that's the whole, man. You hit the nail on the head. Perfectly said. That's what I want. I want her to, well, both of them. I want them to make the decision to do what they want. And we talked about dog walking business. We're thinking now she wants to just go grab a dog by the head and walk it. I'm like, no. She's like, why the hell we got to do all this marketing? And what is this? And I'm like, you're just like your daddy. That's why we're doing this. Like, you're my genetics at work. Screw a plan. Let's just go grab a leash and grab a dog. Don't even ask the owner, right? Let's go walk something. I'm like, no. But you're right, man. I think people's got to, they're just stop thinking that you have to work for someone else if deep down inside, you don't want to. And man, that was me. I only made a decision to go independent in December 2nd because things got so rough. I couldn't stay anymore. And I was working, my business was helping someone else, but it got so bad. And I was mad at that person because they act like a dumbass. I mean, it was not my fault at this point. But you know what? I stood in my living room. I told my wife, I said, you know what? As mad as I am about this situation, I'm actually really mad at myself. Not really mad at because people mess up and have mistakes, and argue. I'm mad at myself. She said, what do you mean? I said, because I would never take this leap of faith to be an independent guy on my own if this didn't piss me off enough. Because the safety and security of this and that, and I had income, and I wouldn't. Why were you going to get rid of that? That'd be insane. Why would you risk, your house and your quality of life for a gut feeling? But it's more than a gut feeling. And I haven't looked back. So it's been 6 months. It's been insane. Like all entrepreneurship, it's the dumbest, craziest thing you can think of. It is insanity. I mean, I fought fire. I'd rather do that naked than start another business. Dude. I mean, it's just really, God almighty, awful. But it's worth it. It's who I am. So that's the whole thing, man. I want to encourage my kids to think for their daggum self and live life to the fullest and screw it up. And like, we made a mistake. I told her the other day, she said, I don't think they like me or her friends or something. I said, shit, no, a lot of people don't like daddy. I said, so what? She's like, people don't like you. I said, oh, wow, you got a lot to learn. I said, yeah, just a couple. But again, I don't care. I care about like if Sia didn't like me or Michael Gale because I respect them. I like those people. That means I'm probably being an asshole if they don't like me. But most people, if I don't eat with you, sleep with you, pay taxes, I don't care what you. Right? And that's the kind of stuff that we get to instill. Other than business mind, we get to instill just downright values and confidence. And I think that is just insane. I wish I had that. I wish I had the knowledge. I wish I had what I'm giving my daughter. And that's why I do what I do, man. And that's why
I
you
think
guys do it.
I think you nail it on the head with that pink neck, right? The kind of the morals and the values that go along with that.
Yeah.
It says a lot about where we are in society when that is kind of an outrageous stance. I find that mind blowing that, to be that I'm here for my family. I'm here for my friends. And somehow that's a backwards perspective. I'll take a little bit of that backwards any day, man. I think that's very cool. But
same here.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful when you can build those people together. And I told my kids a long time ago when they come home crying, you don't even care about that person. Like, that person means nothing to you. Like, why are you upset about that? I get why you're upset. So we'll deal with the upset, but truly, you don't even like them. So they said a comment. Why does that comment matter? Now, if Bill said it, because Bill is your best friend, that should hurt you. But this dude, you don't even care about him. You wouldn't pour water out of his boot if he was drowning. Like, you just wouldn't. You don't care about him. So why do you care about what he's saying? And it's an important message to learn. It's something I had to learn even as an old man, that I was sometimes allowing other people to get into my head that really shouldn't have been there. They had no right to be there. Their voices were still in my head. I talk kind of about that. You have to retrain your mind because you have those doubting thoughts in your head, like you can't do it. And
love you too, Tanner.
You want to go do something new. You start doubting yourself, and you got to retrain your mind. And I thought it was interesting what you said there, because I've had those moments where tragedy has happened, like just fucking awful, heart-wrenching tragedy, and something amazing happens after. Like, just incredible. Because of that, I turn right instead of left, and I meet someone, and my world becomes even better. It's just an interesting thing that sometimes when a tragedy happens, breathe, look around, keep your head on a swivel, because you know what? Sometimes I firmly believe in God, and I think sometimes it's God saying, okay, you won't do it yourself. Yeah, well, then guess what? I'm going to make you do it. And this is what's going to happen. I'm going to put you down on your knees, and you either get up, or like you said, Mike, you can go to the homeless. Like, that's your choice, because God gives choice. But it's funny how that happens. And it's happened to me a couple of times where I'm like been down on my knees, and it's time to get back up. And if I didn't get up, if I wasn't on my knees, I would never have made the choices I made. And I just think that's an amazing thing.
I went through that recently, man. Like, the last month, it was just a real, just shitstorm, man. And I figured it out. I was like, if this was a business or marketing issue, I'd already solved that shit. So it's got to be a spiritual issue. There's no other. And I've been here before. About every 3 to 4 years, shit just hits the fan and everything, and I get all sad. And I'm good for the next 3 or 4 years. So I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar, And but it is. It's letting go, because when I started all this, I didn't need to make money doing any of this, or I was fine. I just did it because I love to do and help, and it was fun, and da 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 da. And then it became, oh shit, this is a business, and I have to do it, or we don't eat. And that changes the dynamic of how you operate. And if you're worried and shit all the time, so yeah, I'm with you, man. And I think that's another thing. If you talk about this in traditional corporate, at least since I've been around, that's not something you say in a resume, right? Or an interview. Like, you don't talk, or even in the break room, because and the hell with that. Look, we're business owners. There's billions of people worldwide connected, almost everywhere. Even the poorest countries have Wi-Fi, for hell's sake, and internet. So, hey, I can be picky, right? Like, I don't need to put up with that shit anymore. I can go and find new people and replace it. And I think and COVID came along and ripped the Band-Aid off of expectations, right? So now there's people, like old people, just said, screw it, we're going to start a business and just get an RV and run around in circles. Like, I love that shit. So uh, I'd rather die fighting. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? I fail and then I have to get a job. Well, I would have had a job anyway. So I'd rather fight tooth and nail, at least say I did it, because not many people can say that. Like, I gave it my all, man. I left nothing on the table. I kicked ass. I did all I could do. And quite frankly, if I failed this time, after I got done working at Burger King, guess what I would do when I got home? Build a second one, and a third one, and a fourth one, until my stubborn ass died. So I think that's what the message of the Hounds, man. It's not just about me teaching networking, LinkedIn growth, and finance and all that. It's about, man, make the remaining years count. That's, Benjamin Franklin was what, 65 when he signed the deck. Come on, man. I mean, hell, I mean, I've got clients and friends of mine, 70 plus years old, starting their second career. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's why I love you guys, man. I appreciate you all. But that's what we're about. I'm just sick and tired of the bull stuff. The sick and tired of being sick and tired. Oh, and by the way, you said I don't care what people think. I told my daughter this, and probably I should monitor what I say. I said, look, man, if Mother Teresa thought I was an asshole, then I would care. I'll be like, oh, wow, because I respect what she thinks. So I do care. But if Jeffrey Dahmer or somebody said, I don't care, I don't eat people, like what? I don't care. And that's what my point. Yeah, I don't eat people. I don't know I don't even relate to you, So I just want people to just stop, because I meet them daily too. I know you're on LinkedIn. I know you go to a coffee chat, and I know they treat you like shit. I know it's happened because it happened to me a million times. Man, just get better. I promise you, you're just paying the price. They will disappear. You will start to talk to good people. Things will open up. But yeah, it sucks. And I remember that like every day. I remember how crappy it was to try to network on LinkedIn after COVID. And even now, if I didn't know any better, it'd be hard, right? So I just have a lot of empathy for people. And if you guys, people out there listening, want to call me, send me a message, carrier pigeon. I don't just show up. Matter of fact, we're actually going to do a LinkedIn group for the Hounds, so I don't have to like talk to every single person. They can just come in and go from there. So lots of good things happening on the horizon, man.
That's a good point. So, Mike, if anyone's watching out there, how do they get a hold of you if they want to know more about building their business on LinkedIn, or how are we going to get them to get a hold of you?
Send them Patrick just like I forgot this wasn't my show. That Patrick, like, did you just do your own closing? Yeah, I did, bro. I forgot. I know. I don't know how to behave on other people's shows. Yeah, just LinkedIn is the best way. LinkedIn, Redneck One, Mike Ashabraner, put that in there. If you see somebody around on the YouTube channel, Raquel, they're pretty obvious who's a hound. I'll have a LinkedIn group, like I said, so people can just go there. I also have a business page, Hounds of Business. But yeah, I just want people to, and by the way, a message, you can do a message, but if you really want to make an impact or not get overlooked, because the message app sucks on Android, let's be honest. I mean, it's really quirky on my end. Leave a comment on a post. Dude, you cannot go wrong leaving a comment on a post. This is I'm gonna give you a jewel here for listening to me this long. Comment on people's posts, like several of their posts. When they pull their notification up, what do they see? You. That's called stalking in the offline world, but it's a hell of a thing on LinkedIn. Because, don't do that to a woman or anybody outside of it. But do it. Go read the article. Ask counter questions. Right? Yep. Actually, here, give a shit and actually let them know you did it. Like, I think I did this to y'all. Maybe I did it to somebody the other day. I came onto a show, had like a few viewers. It was a new show, and I was like, okay. And I said, I'm calling in the Hounds. Like, I'm somebody, right? Who the hell's the Hounds?
I remember that moment. I think that was our last show. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, I did it. I do it all the time, man.
Yeah,
and then there's like 18
awesome.
people.
And they came.
Well, yeah, and then guess I'm here. Because that's reciprocity. That's the whole point. It's like, dude, just go out there and give somebody. And if they don't pay attention, do it again. People are busy. Yeah. If they keep not doing it, then leave them alone. Put them on the next 6 months from now. There's so many. Just knock on 100 doors. 10 people will open a door. That's that. Stop worrying about the 90% that didn't open the shit. Just keep knocking. Someone's gonna open. And the next time you say, "Well, nobody wants what I do, or I don't fit in," nope. You just tried to sell dirty magazines at the monastery. That's all you did. Well, I don't have the sales skills, dude. They're not allowed to buy the dirty magazine. So that's how people end up. The people that I talk to every day, that's their analogy. I suck at sales. You took dirty magazines to a monastery, bro. What you should have done is took the magazines with no sales experience to the adult bookstore, and you just sold that on accident.
Yep.
That's the whole point. I know I'm crude as hell, but hey, you don't forget it.
Beautiful.
Get in where you fit in. That's my whole thing. So message me if you don't like me. I got people you will like. I don't care. Just stop being stuck. I'm so sick of being stuck.
like I said, Mike, I love how real you are, how you bring everything down to earth, and your isms, as your friends here are calling them. I think they're clear and concise. Bringing nudie magazines to a monastery, it does paint a beautiful picture. Yeah, you probably wouldn't sell them there. Maybe around the back. I don't know. Mike,
Exactly.
you know what? It's been a wonderful conversations from learning about your girls, talking about being a father, which I love and respect. And I talk all the time about if you're a dad out there, you make sure that you're there for your kids, because that's the most important thing you can do. With Father's Day coming up, it's important. I don't care if your kid every day tells you to go fuck yourself because something that happened. You still phone them every day and go, "Hey, I love you." Because it's your job to love them. It's not their job to love you. And I just think it's so important. I think we've lost that message. So, Mike, I'm so glad you came on the show. You've brought a wealth of experience about marketing yourself and building a group around you to rise above. And I just love that. So you probably, I don't know if you've ever watched the end of the show. I don't think anyone watches the end because we're so long. But at the end of the show, I say a little bit, and then I say my sign off, which I have a little saying. Pat says a little bit, then he has a sign off, and then we leave it up to you, Mike. And then you can say whatever you want, and then a little bit of words of wisdom to impart to our profiteers out there. So profiteers out there, next week we have Mina, and she has Liberty Lane Treats, I think she's called. And what she does is she has horses, and she uses the horses for therapy. And I'm really excited about this one. This is another Lisa Browning from 1000 Trees brought us this woman. Pat and I, as soon as we heard about her, we're like, we have to have her on our show because Pat, as you know, is a big equestrian, loves horses, as do I. And it's just interesting that these huge beasts, these huge animals that people don't think are thinking, loving animals, can be there to help people get through trauma, to help people get there to the next level. And so I hope you tune in. We're going to learn a lot about that. And I'd like again to thank Mike. Thank you so much for being there for us. And thank you for bringing in the hounds like you do when you come watch our show. I love it. Your community, we're just getting to learn and meet them all. And we have some exciting things coming up that have to do with the people around you. Some exciting shows. We're going to be on a couple of shows, podcasts, some of the people you were talking about. So I'm just thrilled about what's about to happen to us. It's a lot of fun. And like Mike said over and over again, it's the people around you. Pick the people around you that are going to make you grow, not the ones that are going to make you stall. Let's all heal our minds, bodies, and souls together.
And Mike, again, thanks, pal. Been hearing about you for a long time. It's fantastic to finally put the hat to the face, to the name, to all of it. All the folks that were in here tonight, again, thank you for your support. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for supporting Mike. We do this out of love. We do this out of, telling your story, and we want to tell your story. Get in touch with us. Help us grow. Help us help you grow. Mike, again, pal, thank you so much. And for me, let's make some money together. And this, Mike, now this is where we stick you with the final word, pal. Take us out.
You're muted. Wait.
See ya. Where
I
are
told
ya?
y'all anybody can do it.
See ya. See ya.
I need you. All right. Hey, you're coming on the show, right? You're coming on the Hounds Business very soon, right? You want to?
That'd be awesome. I can't wait.
Dude, hey, we'll make it happen, Cap.
Yeah.
And for everybody out there, look, the Hounds, daggone, CJ, Sia, Tammy, Michael Gale, I could go on and on. They're the best, man. It's late. They show up. They don't care. And guess who I'm going to be paying particular attention to? Anybody who shows up for me. So show up for somebody. Here's the best thing I do when I'm depressed. Man, I get in my own head, catastrophize. But if I go out and text people and push people up and do something nice, I'm too damn busy doing positive to think negative. And guess what? My day gets a hell of a lot better because one or two of those people are probably going to reciprocate. They don't have to, but they're probably going to. And now positivity there's no room for negative. So next time negative thoughts, I can't bullshit. Hey, text somebody. Hey, I care about you, man. I appreciate what you did. Try that. Dude, it's going to be real hard to be grumpy. And I'm the king of grumpy. So test me in this, guys. Appreciate you guys. It's been a blast.